Alrighty, beautiful people, welcome back to the Virtus Performance Podcast. I have a very special guest with me today. Jordy, welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to finally have you on. We've been speaking about this for a few years.
We have. It's definitely been a few years we've been talking about potentially doing this.
Yeah, and the podcast took a hiatus to allow you to keep doing good things, and then we can have a chat. So welcome. First question for you, what gets you out of bed in the morning?
I think it's changed over time, but I think the big thing that gets me out of bed at the moment is just following where I'm at, with my ambition. So back at uni, really enjoying that. I think that's my biggest motivation. I've finally found something that just lights my soul on fire. I've found something that I'm obsessed with, and if I don't control myself, I'll spend 12 hours of non-stop reading and just looking into it because I absolutely love it. So I'm doing psychology and just everything about the mind and working out who you are and why you are the way you are and relating that to my own experience and just understanding things. It's just absolutely love it, and it's just there. Just obsessed with it, so that's brilliant. Definitely what gets me out of bed. That's my main thing, I guess, and just working towards where I want to go, where I want to be, and
So Bachelor of Psych.
Bachelor of Psychological Sciences.
Yep. Where are you doing it?
Swinburne.
Swinburne.
So, it's half online, half in person.
Yep.
Which has been really good. So you can sort of tailor it around your own life and how you want to do things. So that's been really good.
How far in are you?
So this is first year.
Yep.
So I wanted to start in 2020.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And it was just, I think after 10 years of no school, no learning, anything like that, it was just too much.
Yeah.
It was just I'd just gotten accustomed
0 to 100, man.
Yeah, 2 weeks in, into uni, I sort of just got accustomed to it, figured out how I'm going to do this, and then bang, it's all online. They've got no idea what you're doing. I've got no idea what I'm doing. I thought, I can't do this. I'm just going to put it off another year. And which was a bit disappointing, but I think it was the best thing for me because now
you're rolling.
And now I'm all in, and I couldn't be going any better. So
what was the thing that pushed you in that direction? So you obviously weren't studying, and 10 years out of school is a long time. What kicked you into gear to get you back into the educational arts, so to speak?
So it was a bit of a long journey. I think where it sort of started was I used to work for a timber company. So I was an account manager for them for a few years. I worked for them for about 5 years.
Thanks for giving us timber for the office.
Oh yeah, no worries. And it was good. It hit all the marks for the money was good. I didn't have to ever worry about money financially. I could afford whatever I needed to.
Yeah.
Had the company car, the phone, all that sort of stuff, and I was moving up pretty quickly. I was, I think I was the youngest account manager of all time when I first became the account manager. I think I was 22 or something like that.
Yeah. So you're ticking the boxes.
Yeah. So I was doing really well, and I just got to a point where I just realised I don't like this. I don't like having to be someone to sell timber. Yeah. I don't want to have to. There was always this culture within the timber industry of drinking and just being whoever you have to be to get the sale, and just sucking up to people, and it just wasn't for me. And in that industry, they all just work for the weekend. It's about making that money, and then on the weekend you just go out.
Yeah.
You just drink. You get on everything like drugs, and go out to clubs and spend all the money, and it just wasn't. That's not what I ever envisioned myself being, and it's not what I ever wanted to do. So I think it was just sort of a gradual decline in happiness, and got to the point where I wasn't eating right, I wasn't living right, I was miserable, and it was just a massive decline, gained a whole heap of weight, and then sort of realised that it wasn't for me, took a step back from the account managing position and went into sales, and then my mental health was on a massive decline. Just really, really struggled. Couldn't get out of bed some days, and just absolutely hated it.
Was there a moment where you're like, I've got to change something?
Yeah, I think it was. I thought stepping back from the account manager, because it was such a high pressure position, I thought that might help if I step back and just do a sales position. And even that sales position was the same issues. Still hated it. Even a lot less money, and the only vice I had was drinking. could only get through the week.
So that was your escape.
Yeah, and it got pretty bad. It was probably a lot worse than probably what people think. And I think it's pretty relevant for people today as well. There are people that they hate their job and they got to have a few drinks every night at least just to get through to the next day. Yeah, and I just got to a point where all that money I had gone because I spent it all on alcohol just to get through to the day, to get to the next day, and I think I was just absolutely miserable and didn't see a way out of this. And I thought I need to make some drastic changes and decided to get back to seeing my psychologist. Yeah, awesome. And start making some real changes.
When you were at school, what did you want to do?
I had no idea. Yeah. I had absolutely no idea. I was quite intelligent when I was young, and I sort of coasted through primary school. Yeah. Well, yeah. And then I sort of coasted through primary school, and then I got to high school, and then you sort of have to put in a little bit of effort, and I just didn't put any effort in, and had sort of emotional and social sort of issues, sort of anxiety issues that never really were dealt with, and I think I've really put aside achieving anything in high school. It was just more just getting through. Yeah. It was definitely a massive struggle, and it was more just trying to get through it, try and move on to something that will make me happy, which I never.
Yeah. And then did you just kind of shifted straight from high school to that line of work?
Pretty much. When I finished high school, I didn't do very well. I only got like low 50 ATAR or inter-score, whatever they call it now. That was a bit disappointing, but I didn't try, so obviously, that's what's going to happen. And then I sort of still had no idea. I always thought something business. That's all I can narrow it to. I'd like to maybe wear a suit and do something in business. Yep. That's all I can think of.
Yeah. So almost everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
So then thought might do a certificate for marketing. That'll do.
And you knocked that off?
Related. Did the first year and it was good, but again the same thing.
Yeah.
Couldn't focus on the work, wasn't really interested in just trying to get through the day and hope that this might lead to something that might make me happy. Yep. Never really did, so ended up deferring a year and went and worked for a supermarket. So I worked there full time. Yep. Stayed there for a bit, and I think I stayed there till I was about 20. Then, they just, again, similar issues, just couldn't find happiness there. Yeah. Just didn't meet things within me that I wanted.
For context for everyone, how old are you now?
29.
29. So basically a decade of trying to figure it out.
Pretty much.
Are you happy now? Much.
Yeah, happiest I've ever been.
So that's a good place to be.
Yeah. I think that's they put so much pressure on you when you're in high school to figure out what you want to do.
It's crazy.
Where you want to be. And I had no idea. And how are you supposed to have any idea when you don't even know who you are? Like, I was battling depression, anxiety. I didn't even know myself who I am. And I was still trying to figure it out. And I reckon it's taken probably till about 26, I reckon. So maybe about 3-4 years ago.
When was the point where you were at kind of your breaking point with your weight and your mental health and things were going backwards quickly?
I reckon it was about... I'd moved back home. I'm still back home, and I was just drinking.
Do it as long as you can.
Yeah, I have no issues with that. I save a lot of money living at home, so it's not that bad. But I reckon, I'd sort of moved home. I'd been back home for about 6 months, and I was just drinking every night, at least 15 to 20 beers a night.
Crazy.
Minimum. And that's the only thing that would ever make me happy. And if I wasn't drinking, then I wasn't happy. I'd gain. I never really ate that badly. I didn't eat very good. Yeah. But with all the alcohol and just no exercise, nothing in the way of looking after myself at all, got up to about 125 kilos, and then I do remember one day where I stood in the scales and I saw that number. And holy shit, what's happened here? Yeah. And there's a certain point as well when you drink that much, you become that much of an alcoholic that it doesn't matter how much more you try and drink, you're not going to find anything at the end of those. At the end of that slab of beers.
At the bottom of beer,
what you're trying to chase all those times, trying to feel good and trying to just distract yourself from the world, it doesn't do enough. And I think that's where people start going deeper and deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, in that they're trying to avoid things, trying to not deal with what's going on, that you get so far down that you don't even know what you're looking for anymore, and you're just drinking for the sake of drinking because you don't know anything else. And I think that's where I was at. And my family had always been concerned and tried to help as much as they could, but when you're an alcoholic, you cannot be saved.
Yeah.
You have to save yourself. Yeah. And you have to hit rock bottom to be able to know where it is, and then you have to decide if you want to keep staying down there and drinking and being miserable, or if you want to start trying to make the journey and climb back up and get out and try to make.
What were those first few steps? One, what were they like, and then what were they, and how did you start to pull yourself out of that? Because it's horrible.
The first step was just acceptance. I think the biggest thing with alcoholism is that it creeps up on you. You don't think you have a problem. You think you can stop.
Yeah.
You cannot. Unless you try it, you cannot stop. Especially when you're drinking that sort of much. It's obviously different for all people. But I think, like, if you... Like, I didn't think I had a problem. I was drinking 10, 15 a night.
Yeah.
And that, it makes you think that, like, you wake up the next morning, you feel a bit rough.
Yeah.
But you think, if I wanted to stop, I could.
Yeah.
But I haven't really got anything else going on, so I'll just, I'll keep going. And when I'm ready to, start making a change, I'll do something about it. But I think there just became a point where I just realised that I really can't stop. So I had to do something about it. So the first thing I sort of did was, see the psychologist. So I saw a psychologist from, I think, 15 to 18. So I had a lot of experience with psychology back then, and then booked in with that, and then the psychologist I met with was really good. He was more a motivational psychologist, so I think it was just by chance that it worked out really well. He was also a psychologist for like AFL footy players, and he keeps them motivated and keeps them towards their goals. So
awesome.
Rather than like a preventative sort of treatment of the alcoholism, he just sort of ignored that and then said, why don't you work on this? Why don't you work towards something? When you give yourself a reason to quit.
So rather than a don't do this, it was a, hey, let's replace that with good things.
Yeah, pretty much, because he was also a like a professional sort of business psychologist as well. So he works with people to try and figure out what you like, who you are as a person, and what you need out of a career.
Yeah.
That was more of the focus on what we did. We didn't even really talk about the alcohol on that much as well. It was more that was the focus on. I think that worked out really well, because that was what my core issue was. It wasn't that I have and I think it's just for a lot of people, it's not the alcohol that's the issue. It's not the alcohol
that's the vice that you're protecting. You're escaping the issue.
Yeah, that's the habit that that you're stuck in that keeps you down from achieving the things that you need to achieve.
Yeah.
And it's not just alcohol. It can be anything that you're addicted to that affects you negatively. It can be, food. It can be anything, really. So we focused on more where I'm going and what I want to do, rather than
brilliant.
What was holding me back. And that made a big difference. That sort of gave me an idea, well, maybe I can do something. Maybe I can do something that's worth doing. And one of the analogies he sort of gave me was, like, you look at all those famous athletes, like all those footy players and those people that are achieving like crazy things, like Cam Haines and Courtney Dauwalter. I was really big into those sort of things, like sort of recently. Like, what separates those sort of people to us? Yeah, they're not different. They're not a different species. Well, they might be, but there is nothing,
arguably.
There's nothing stopping you from being the best you can possibly be. Yeah, just your mind, just the way you think about it. If you want it enough, then you can find a way to get there. So that was a massive help, because one of the things he sort of focused on was sort of working it, like, it's this assessment they do. It's called like a Berkman assessment, where they give you about 600 questions. It takes a long time to do it. Yep. They ask all these questions in different sort of ways to sort of get who you are as a person and what you need, and then they sort of match you up against people that are 100% fulfilled in their career. And if you're this sort of person that enjoys these sort of things, well, this person does this career and they absolutely love it. Yeah. So that sort of, it really narrowed it down to where I should put my focus on, and one of the things that sort of came up was science. So something I need for myself, because I have a sort of obsessive tendency. I need to be continually learning. Like my issue with working at the supermarket is there's only so much you can learn at a supermarket. There's only so much you can learn about putting cereal on a bloody shelf. Like that's about it.
Yeah.
And that's why I was never happy there. I just remained stagnant. And then another thing I needed was like community, and I need to feel like I'm helping people and I'm involved in something worth doing.
Yeah.
Selling timber was not worth doing, in my opinion, and being around they're not the sort of people that I want to be around. I don't want to be that person that I was surrounded with in the timber industry. And we sort of just, after a few sessions, just sort of narrowed it down. And then he said, well, have you ever thought about psychology? And as soon as he said it, I thought, oh my God, you're kidding me. How did I not figure this out 15 years ago? This makes so much sense. So, yeah, that's sort of how I sort of got onto it.
So was that moment where you're like, fuck, this is what I should be doing?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty much, as soon as we sort of talked about it for about 10 minutes, I'm like, this makes perfect sense. Like, I love all that sort of stuff. I'm always reading books about psychology and about how your brain works and all that sort of things, just because I enjoy it. And yeah, I just thought,
brilliant.
Should have figured this out ages ago. But I'm glad I didn't, in all honesty, though, because I've been on such a long journey to get to where I am now. If I hadn't have been through everything that I had been through, I wouldn't have realised just how perfect.
And you wouldn't have appreciated what you're doing now in any way, shape, or form like you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what was that process like from going to seeing the psych first time to? It's easy to say where you are now because that's effectively where you've gone. But talk us through that journey, what it was like, the ups and downs. Because undoubtedly it wasn't like I want to do psych. I'm happy now.
Yeah. No, it was a lot of ups and downs. And I think there's what people don't sort of, when they talk about their success stories, they don't talk about or highlight as much as how much I failed. I struggled so much through the entire process. Like trying to lose the weight, that's a hard subject to figure out because you can look on the internet. There's a million different ways to do it. Yeah. And then in those million different ways, they might be different for you depending on your body type. Yeah. Trying to figure out what I need to do to lose weight was just a nightmare. Yeah. And I got sort of started ticking away at it. Remain consistent, get caught up in the stupid fad diets like, try this, don't eat that, try this, don't eat that. Tried all those and eventually got into a rhythm where I could sort of get the weight down. I think I got to about 110, 105. Yep. And then it was just stagnant and then really struggled trying to keep going.
Because that motivation would have ebbed and flowed as well.
Yeah,
right?
The motivation goes up and down.
When you see the weight coming off and when you see progress, it's like, sweet, I just need to keep doing what I'm doing. And then it gets to a point, law of diminishing returns, where that stops. Yeah. What was that like?
I think because I'd lost the first sort of 15 kilos, the obsession ticked in my mind. I was doing some good things. I hadn't done anything good for a long time, or what felt like I was doing good for a long time. And because I was obsessed with it, I was constantly trying to research and what can I do now? What's the next step? And there was that stagnant sort of area where I needed to get past. And funnily enough, that's when I joined Virtus. And I can thank Virtus for the next 30 kilos after that.
You're a beautiful man.
Yeah.
We facilitated greatness.
Yeah, I think I will say Virtus was a big help and being around that community, but at the same time, it was all me. I did it all. 100%. Yeah, so
100%. I think that's the that's the most important part of any behaviour change. It's like you need to surround yourself with people that want to see you succeed and that will help bring you along, and in an environment where you can do so. But at the end of the day, it's on you.
Yeah. And it's all those little things that you constantly say, just show up, do good things. All those little things, they may just be minor comments that you say, but they have a significant impact.
If
you take them seriously.
The same for me more than anything, and then I hope that spreads a little bit.
Well, I think that they have a lot more power and sort of gravity than what people think. If you take those little things and then use them in your own development, and your own sort of progress, and you can that was always the thing for me. Let alone just getting to the gym. The social part of it was always a struggle. I've always been very introverted. I will only talk when I want to. Yeah.
It's like Lucy at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you. All right, Lucy. I wish we as adults could do that, right? Could just be like, hey, I don't want to talk to you. And everyone be like, yep, no worries, rather than like, well, you rude piece of shit.
It's just the facade that you got to put on. Like, oh, hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm good, thanks. What's been going on? Like,
oh, not much, same old. And you just like same conversation over and over.
I don't enjoy that. I never have, and I can't even try and pretend to.
Yeah.
I'd rather talk on a real in-depth sort of basis, and it's hard to. I find it really hard to gauge it with someone else. Where you go, oh, how are you? Do you what do I say? I'm fucking miserable inside. Do I tell them that? Or no, I have to give them the socially accepted side.
But that's an interesting thing, right? It's like, well, you know, I could argue that if you had that conversation, then you're bringing real depth to the conversation straight away. But then also there is time and place for small talk, and like the first layer of building connection is that.
Yeah. For
a lot of people. So if we kind of go, and I've been like this in the past, and I'm trying to, you know, I've been trying to shift away from it. Is like, I hate small talk. Small talk's a waste of time. It's like, well, no, because it allows you to open up, and like there's good and bad in everything.
Yeah, I suppose the entry point.
Yeah, it is the entry point. But when you're having the same conversation with the same person, that's when it's let's move on.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I sort of that was a big thing I sort of struggled with first coming to Virtus.
Yeah. Because what had you done? What had you done training wise prior?
I was just at core, and I would go. I actually really look fondly back at it. I would go to core about 9-10 o'clock at night, just with my brothers.
No one was there. Yeah.
No one there. Just me and my brothers, just muck it around, listen to music. Just my middle brother, he's a personal trainer, so he knows. He gave me an idea of what weights to use and stuff like that, and it was just really, really good. There's only works for so long. Yeah, I'm doing the same sort of stuff, and I had to change it up a bit. But
running,
running came down the line at about, I think I got to about 90 kilos. So
what do you sit at now?
83.
83.
Yeah.
So you got a 42 kg journey.
Yeah. I got down to about 76.
Yeah.
And then, sort of wanted to muscle up a bit, and then keep the fat off, put the muscle on.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, still haven't figured that out. That's the next goal. But got to I think about 90 kilos, and then I just needed something different. I liked the routine of Virtus and the obsessiveness of Virtus. But I sort of
want something
like
different.
The weight was good, but I felt like the physicality was sort of getting stagnant. I just wanted something where I could really, really push myself, because there's only so much you can do in an hour at Virtus, doing the group training stuff. But there was a few sessions where there was a bit of running involved, and I liked the mental battle of it, like just the park laps. I think there were a lot of them in the program. Yeah. And I really enjoyed like I've always had a competitive streak where I don't have to be first, but I cannot be last. And I would just, it's not a good habit to have. You should never compare yourself when you're trying to work in your own development, but it's so hard not to do. Yeah. Like I'd see big Jordan running around, his legs,
a gazelle.
His strides are enormous. So I'm not catching up with him, but I'm not going to be miles behind. Yeah. So I would just try and see how I go around the park lap and just keep up. And I really like that battle in your mind of just keep going, because my body feels like exhausted, but I can keep going. And then I sort of just took that outside of Virtus and sort of did it of my own accord, started getting into running a bit, and then that obsession trigger ticked again. Yeah. Absolutely loved it. And then COVID hit, and that's all you could really do. So I think you were the same, weren't you?
Mate, every second day I ran during that first lockdown. I got the fittest, probably the fittest I've been long distance for a long, long time. Yeah. Back, I'm probably like 15 kilos heavier than I was when I used to run. So, so I think that was brilliant, just from a mental health perspective and an escape, an outlet. I think Cooper and I were talking about it on our podcast. We're thinking about signing up for 50k. Yeah, 50k trail run, and there's part of me that dreads it, because it just makes me think of pre-season and thinks of training for it. But I'm like, I just want to be fitter running wise. Yeah. So it was. I look at that part of COVID, and it was like, it sucked, but it was brilliant for how many people went from doing no running to going, I actually kind of like running, and I think this is a Mitch Rowe quote, but if you hate running, it's probably because you suck at it, because you don't do any running.
Yeah.
And it just ends up being a negative feedback loop.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I can see why you might hate it at first, but like if you're in that mindset, I hate this, I'm going to do this, but I hate this, like
you're going to hate it.
You're going to hate it.
Yeah.
But if you try and think about it positively, like I remember when I was first starting to lose weight, and I thought, I'll try. Apparently, running's good. I might try some running.
At 120 Ks?
Yeah, at 120, I reckon I go about 200 metres.
Yeah.
I thought, this is shit.
Yeah.
But
if you're 120 Ks and you haven't done any running, don't.
Yeah, probably not.
There's other ways to start.
Yeah, start a bit easier. But yeah, definitely during COVID, getting into the running was really good. One of the biggest things I really liked about it was you can improve your running so quickly if you're consistent.
Yeah.
All you got to do is be consistent. You don't have to be good at it.
You can replace that running word with anything.
Yeah, yeah.
If you are consistent, you will improve.
Yeah, and I think that's running was a really good sort of example, I guess, to help with like the mental health sort of things and the like the alcoholism sort of things. Is I got good at running just by doing it once or twice a week.
Yeah.
And then just seeing if I can go a little bit further each time.
Yeah.
Not putting too much pressure on myself, running on my own accord, not looking at other people's Strava distances or like kilometres and stuff like that.
We've got guys in here and friends that have gone through the maybe competing and the triathlon stage, and I even do it sometimes. It's like I used to be able to run a 1500 in this time, and now I'm like 2 minutes slower.
Yeah.
And you've got to remove yourself from that, and if deleting Strava is the thing, delete Strava.
Yeah. It can be good to keep you motivated, at the same time it'll cut you down, but you can't let it cut you down.
Yeah, it's just a self-awareness thing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but then running was always really good in that improved the fitness, but it was just that the biggest part about I love about running is the mental component. It's not about like how good you are at running. It's how long can you like keep your mind going, because your mind does all the work. Like your legs know what to do. Like your autonomic nervous system sort of just keeps it going. Yeah. You can keep ticking it over. Like you might feel it. Like you might start getting a stitch or something like that, but you can keep going. Yeah,
you get into a rhythm and it's just around and keeping that ticking over.
Yeah, and I loved getting into that rhythm when you get to that like perfect spot where you're tired but your mind's feeling good and you just keep going and going and going and going.
Yeah.
And I just got really obsessed with it, and I was getting to I think when I was getting pretty good, I was probably getting up to about 20, 25 Ks.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that would stop me then is time.
Well, I've been doing this for 2 hours. I better go home.
It's getting late. It's getting dark.
Yeah.
I should probably turn around soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really, really good. Really enjoyed like really pushing that sort of far, and there'd be some days it'd be harder, and you have to put on like a Dave Goggins podcast to really push you over the line.
Yeah.
See how you go.
Was that around the same time you got into listening or paying attention to what Goggins and Courtney Dauwalter and Cam Haines and those kind of people were doing?
Yeah, I think those. I was talking to you a bit about it as well, because I think he sort of started popping up on like Joe Rogan's podcast a bit, and he was being talked about, and then Cam Haines and Courtney Dauwalter as well. And then once you like look into them, it just keeps appearing on like your social media feed.
A beautiful pixel.
Yeah,
just following you around the internet.
It's probably the only good thing you can get out of those algorithms.
I mean, you can be real tactical, right? Like I was talking to one of the boys this morning. He's like, "Yeah, I want to buy a couch," and I was like, "I'll just Google koala couch and just watch the discounts follow you around the internet for the next 2 weeks."
Yeah. They'll get you. They can find a way. They will. So that was really good.
Yeah.
And that sort of got me that just sort of reaffirmed all the stuff I did in my.
What did you learn from those people?
I think the big one's Courtney Dauwalter. She's just the tiny little lady. She loves beers and nachos, and then she'll run a 240 fucking mile race, and she'll look tired, but she's like, "Yeah, I'm alright. Just keep going."
You're crazy.
It's like how are we the same species? Like, what makes you?
That's almost 400 Ks. It's stupid.
Yeah, what demons are in her mind for her to be able to push herself like that? Like, I'm absolutely fascinated. Like, what does it take?
Yeah.
To be like that, like what can keep you going like that? Like we've all been, like everyone knows what, like when you get to that stage in running where you're in a lot of pain and you want to keep going, but you just think, oh, there's no way. Like,
I'm done. Yeah.
How do you? like how does she push past like that? Because I find that absolutely fascinating. I've always been interested in that, like even more so than the actual running. It's just the mental component of it, because it's predominantly mental. It just keeps you going. But
yeah. I mean, there's a physical capacity that obviously you need to an extent, but what we can do external to that is crazy.
Yeah.
You've been following Ned Brockman over the last 25 days.
Nah.
So he's running. If you haven't seen this guy, it's phenomenal. So he's running from Perth to Bondi. He's trying to beat the record in 40 days. So basically 100 k's a day.
It's unbelievable.
And just watching his stories and his wrap ups of each day, and every day it's just like, here's a quote, get after it. Here's the song of the day, and you just see videos of him crying and laughing, and like, his feet are mangled and his shins are blown up, and all this stuff's happening, and it's just like, it's the epitome of the human spirit to be able to just go, this all sucks, but I've set myself this goal, so I'm going to get it done. And look on Strava, and he's just clocked up another 100 k's. Just like, fuck, what a maniac. And I think it's phenomenal because we, like, even what we were talking about before with school and things like that, we create like boxes for us as individuals in terms of what we're capable of and what we're able to do and where we might be able to head. And you see these people just go, fuck the box, and just go bang straight through it and go, there's this whole world out there unexplored that each one of us can dive into if we really want to.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned, is that in constructing that box of your capabilities, you're only limiting yourself. Like if you think, I'm not that kind of person, I'm too old to go back to uni, or I don't think I can ever stop drinking, or I'm not much of a runner. I'd like to, but it's not for me. Like you're constructing your own limitations.
Stories we tell ourselves.
Exactly. If you compare yourself to others and what other people are doing, then you're just going to hinder yourself. But if you really put in everything of your own ability, and if it's something you want, you'll get at it, and you can achieve. Like I never thought I'd be able to run 25 kilometers, and then the only thing that stopped me was getting dark. I never thought I'd be able to do that, and like I think when I got into like cycling as well. I think the second bike ride I did, I thought, I'll start early, see how far I can go. Went to the city and back, and I was like, I'm getting on 100 k's now.
Isn't that crazy that you just like go to the city and back? As someone that hasn't jumped on a bike, you would be like, fuck that, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But like you could run there and back tomorrow if you really wanted to.
If you really, you might throw up a few times, you might you fall down, you have to sit down and cry a little bit, but if you really want to, you can do it. And I think that's relevant as well to when you're in the depths of anxiety, depression, despair. If you're at rock bottom, you still have that capacity. It's just a lot harder because you're in that negative sort of mind space, and you don't think you can get out of it, but you really can.
Sorry, everybody, I'm just a bit nasally. Let's talk about that mental health side of things and anxiety and depression and being through it. And I assume you still go through it, ups and downs. What was it like, and what have you learned from it?
I think the biggest thing is that it's always going to happen. It doesn't matter how good you think you are. There's always going to be mental health issues. You got to know how to deal with it. You got to learn how to deal with it. I've been seeing a psychologist since I was 14, 15. I'm 29 now. I still see a psychologist. I haven't touched alcohol for at least a year.
How good?
Had my ups and downs with that as well in recovery, but haven't touched it. I'm probably at a point now where I'm really good. I don't need it at all. Don't have anxiety. I'm pretty confident these days. But I still see a psychologist once a month. Yeah. It's the most important. Like, we go to the gym every day, or try to go every day. You go to sleep at night. Yeah. You work out your body. You rest your body and your mind, but you don't work out your mind. You don't work out, what's going on in your head. And I find that bizarre that there's not much of an emphasis on it, and there's a stigma against it. Like,
it's fascinating, isn't it?
I cannot believe that. I can believe it, but it's still going on, and especially in like men, it's heartbreaking to see that people go through all these issues, and just because you're a man, you shouldn't have to talk about your emotions, and you just deal with it, or you have a beer and or you get over it. Just this whole macho sort of persona of it, and it's that's a massive driving factor for me to get into psychology. So I've been through that, and I took the hard route, and I definitely didn't share as much as I should have. I really struggled by myself, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
And I think if I just had the courage to reach out a little bit, man, I would have been where I need to be much sooner.
Yeah.
So
you made a hard journey harder.
Yeah, made it horrendously harder. And yeah, that's it is of your own accord to try and move out of that sort of space. But if you don't let anyone in to help you, then it's going to be even harder.
Yeah, I've always loved the idea that every problem on earth has a solution, but if you don't ask for help, no one can help you.
Yeah. And I think that's a massive thing as well, and especially with the rates of male suicide, and like I think everyone would know someone that's been through that sort of thing, or maybe has killed themselves, and you just think, well, what if I said something?
What are we doing? Yeah,
like why didn't why didn't they ask for help, or I could have helped, or there's all these sort of things where I guess I just wonder, like, how do you move forward? How do you move forward past this stigma? And
do you think it's changing?
I think it is changing. Yeah. It's slowly changing. There's a lot more sort of resources out there, which is good. I think it's easy. It's easier now than it's ever been to reach out.
Yeah.
There's still that stigma there, and it still makes it really hard, especially not for the person actually going through the issue, but also for the people that want to reach out. Like, how do you reach out to someone when they're in the worst place that they could possibly be? They just cannot get through the day. They're just not. If they're feeling that bad about themselves, they probably don't want to admit that I'm feeling this bad, and they don't want other people to know what they're going through. Like, how do you convince them that it's not wrong for them to feel that way?
Yeah.
And that it's more common than they think, and it's a tough sort of thing to.
We're obviously not going to fix a mental health crisis in a podcast, but what do you think needs to change now? You've been through it. You have that experiential learning from having suffered from depression and anxiety for a long time. Now you're studying psychology, and you're seeing different elements of society push it forward, and different elements of society still holding it back. What do you think needs to change? / what would you do?
I think the stigma of it needs to be addressed. I think the stigma of talking about your emotions is not a manly thing to do. That needs to be addressed, and I think that can be resolved around community. Like, I think within the Virtus community, like, I talk to you about a lot of stuff, talk to Cooper about a lot of stuff, and I think it's a very open sort of community where you can share that sort of thing, and if it's propagated and people feel welcome within that community, they can talk about it. I think it happens a lot in footy clubs as well. Like,
it's getting infinitely better. Like, we have a few things that we do at the club, and we talk about it, and the leaders will stand up and share certain things, and then we do it as a group. And like, I've been playing senior footy for 13, 14 years now, and there wasn't any of that back in the day, and now it's a very regular thing, and we do it every couple of weeks. So I think it's something that's definitely growing, and it's almost like I look at coffee shops and gyms and football clubs as 21st century churches. Is they're a space for people to collaborate and connect and do something maybe around a common goal, but maybe around individual goals like a gym is. And I think the more of these places that we have, and the more energy and vulnerability that we can put into them, the better the whole society is going to be. Yeah,
I agree. Especially, I think it helps having that catalyst that we're here to work out, we're here to go to the gym.
But let's talk about important shit.
Let's have a chat. Yeah, I think that's really good with like footy too. You can involve like one of the most masculine sports, and you can beat each other up out in the field and kick the footy around, and then you come and have a chat, like, what's going on, what's actually going on. You're right. Yeah,
it's been pretty phenomenal just to see and share myself, but see other people share and talk about the stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
And we've got some brilliant local charities starting to grow and build into organisations that are helping facilitate these things. We will have a Virtus Men's Night in a few weeks. make sure you're here.
I'll be there.
But we're gonna be we're about connecting and getting around each other, but more so we will open up some opportunities for people to be vulnerable and kind of create a space where people can, where men especially can chat.
Yeah.
Because it's certainly not just a men only issue, but it's one that's certainly highlighted in the statistics that men are shit house at expressing themselves and talking and being vulnerable like they should.
Yeah, there's of course issues across the board, across gender. But I think men can help other men with it. Like I think there's a certain sort of way you can sort of talk about it. Of course, there are women you can talk to, and they're probably way better than us. I find that my friends, the girls, are way better at talking about issues. But if you can really push and talk with your guy mates, I think that's really valuable, because you never know what's going on with someone as well. And maybe it's just that one day we ask them, what's going on? You actually all right? Like you might get them on a day where they think, oh, maybe I can open up. Yeah,
and even if you don't get them on it, if they're on a day where they're like, I don't want to talk, like a week later when they're feeling better, and they might hit you up and say, hey, let's go for coffee. I do need a chat. Or and I think it's one being there. Or it's one asking for, what can I do? But it's another thing just people knowing that you're there.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for people that really struggle as well, is they don't want to be a burden on someone. They don't want to unload all their issues and then for you to not know what to say and go, oh, that's shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, do you want a hug or like, it's hard in that you want to ask, you want to be there, you want to care for them, but you got to know what to say.
Yeah.
And I think there's an emphasis on telling people to speak up.
Yeah,
there's not enough evidence. There's not enough
emphasis. We got there
on
what to
the
say,
recipients on what to say. And the biggest piece of advice I can say: don't say anything. Just listen.
Yeah,
let them say what they need to say, and then if they sort of slow down a bit and just tell me more, or if they're talking about a specific thing, ask them questions, like show interest, and show that you're listening. Don't be on your phone. Don't look away. Like
don't say.
Look them in the eye.
Here's what you need to do.
Look them direct on, and like really show that you're engaged. Don't try and solve their problems. Like you're not I'm not qualified. Like you're not qualified to solve their problems for them. You don't know what's going on in their head. You don't know how they feel about things. You don't know what else is going on. Like just listen to them. Let them vent.
Yeah,
that's what most people need. Like a place to be able to vent and like express how they feel, and then you might be able to get to a point where you can sort of say, well, you can sort of relate on sort of similar things, and I've been through this, this sort of helped me. But you don't want to like direct the conversation to then talking about you and just you. Like it is on that person that they've reached out to you. You need to be really respectful that they've allowed you in on something that is maybe causing them unbelievable emotional turmoil. It's really hard to be like a good listener, I think. And that's what you got to do. You got to listen. Yeah. And I think it just needs more emphasis on that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's universally, I look at it and kind of, there is nothing more universal than struggle, and that and the human suffering. Like that is a human condition. So I think if we can understand that for a moment, reflect on it, and go, okay, well, I know that everyone's going to struggle and suffer it at times. I want to be a beacon, or I want to be a safe place so that people can express that suffering and that struggle. Yeah,
especially in this day and age as well, where everyone's putting up their best, the best quality picture of like, oh, my life's perfect, I'm all good, with all social media, which I think is a poison. By the way, I think
all social
that's
media
not good for you. I think connectedness is good, but like Instagram, when you're putting up photos,
it's a long conversation, right?
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast with that, I think, but. Getting away from that and just surrounding yourself in an authentic community of real people that you can be real with. That's where you got to start. Because when I was at Bowen's, I was around people that they weren't mindfulness and psychology is I'm not doing that. Just have a beer. They're just they're the wrong people to be around. If that's not if they're happy living that sort of way, that's good for them, but that's not. I personally don't think for my own benefit, I shouldn't have been around those people when coming to Virtus and being around people that are doing good things and being the best that they can. That's where you need to start. You need to be around good people. Surround yourself around good people that are going to be willing and receptive to listen. And
Yeah, it's amazing the progress you can make when the people around you want the same things.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that this place has taught me more than anything. It's just, like there's days, like we made this place, but there's days where I can't be fucked doing anything, and I'll just come in and chat to a few people, and 20 minutes later I'll be like, all right, I'm on. And the only thing that shifted was I just surrounded myself with good people. I'm so much of a better version of me when I'm in spaces like this, and I'm awake and I'm up and about and I'm connecting with people. So for the people that are struggling, find a space like this. Doesn't have to be Virtus, but a football club, a netball club, a sporting club in some way, shape or form. Like, I love that the reflection that sport has on life. The ups and downs, the failures, the triumphs, all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, you do it with a bunch of people. And if you don't play sport, it's okay. There's many other spaces where you can do that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your studies, because I love how excited you get talking about it.
Yeah.
What's been, and part of this conversation is going from not studying for 10 years, not really trying at high school, to now doing a Bachelor of Psychology, which, my sister's gone through. It is not the easiest thing in the world. What's the last 2 years of starting, stopping, and then getting started again? What's that taught you, and what have you learnt?
So it has been a bit of a struggle to get here. I've always been like a creature of habit. Like I really struggle doing new things, and anything that's unknown, I've always really struggled with that. I get a lot of anxiety about it. But it was just sort of trying. I tried at COVID, and I did the best I could, but I realized I had to pull back. I wasn't happy with it, but I just took what I could from it and learnt from that, which then gave me a bit of a leg up the next time I tried. So the next time I tried, it's
a really good life lesson right there.
Yeah, the next time I tried, I went in. So COVID, I got 2 weeks in.
Yep.
And then got shut down.
Yep.
All online. And then the next time I tried, I was really struggling with alcohol again. So the alcohol came back. Just couldn't stop. Just constantly drinking, and I was just in a habit of avoiding everything. Just sticking to this place that I know of, being at home, drinking, not having to deal with anything. So that I really struggled with that. I just couldn't commit to uni, and I thought, I'm gonna have to put it off again. I just can't do this right now. I need to sort myself out. So that was really, really, really difficult, because I've struggled with alcohol for so long, and it never ends. As a recovering alcoholic, I'll tell you now, it never ends.
Yeah, it's never.
You're gonna struggle for the rest of your life. And I still do every now and then, but now I've got a good handle on it, and where I know when the triggers are going to come up, I know what to do when they come up.
Yeah.
And the key point is persistence. Like, I've been around a lot of other alcoholics that are in recovery as well, and you're going to fall down, you're going to fuck up, you're going to drink again. It's going to happen. Yeah. You got to know what to do. You got to know how to get yourself back up.
Don't throw the baby out of the bathwater when it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you do fall over, don't just go fuck it.
Yeah. You got to, keep trying.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to fail. You're going to fail at everything you do. You just got to keep trying. And then 2022. So this year, so my last drink was the 26th of February, which was a couple of days before I was going to start uni. Yeah. So I really left it to the last minute. But I really, really put the emphasis on myself. Like, this is it. Like, if I don't want to, I'm going to do some damage to myself. I feel like I can't commit to this. Like, it's going to cost me a lot of money again if I'm going to have to pay for another year. I'm not actually doing it, because there's only so much you can defer. And then they're like, you can do this or not? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But I put in everything this time. I reached out to like the counsellors at Swinburne, said, I'm going through, alcohol withdrawal, and I really need some help. And they were really good. They're awesome. For help. They've got all the facilities there. Like, had a meeting with this guy named John. He's like the guidance counsellor, and he helped me through it. And helped me set up my timetable and he kept me accountable, and he would email me once a week and he'd tell me, how you going, you're good.
What a king.
And he got to know me a little bit in a few weeks, and he, don't bullshit me, tell me how you're actually going.
That's
awesome. Don't give me the face value, I want to hear what you're actually going.
Yeah.
And that was really good, and like I didn't have to pay anything for that. He just did it. It was really good. So that really helped. Mostly because I took the chance and reached out, and it worked out brilliantly and really came back. So helped me get into the swing of things, and I've been all over it since.
Yeah, awesome.
I think I've got the extra motivation now with the alcohol, is that I've made it so far. I've done so well. I want to see how far I can keep going. It's that running analogy again. Like I'm at 20 Ks now. How much further can I keep going? And it's getting easier.
That's awesome. And that's such an important lesson there, is you reached out for help, and they didn't have to help you, but they did. And one of the things I said to we had a chat with our interns the other day about career and where you're going and behaviour change and what you're doing and stuff. And I'm just everyone wants to help. In a nutshell, I like to think everyone, but let's just go with everyone. Everyone wants to help, and if you stick your hand up and say, I need help with this, and it might be reaching out to someone in a job you want to go, hey, can I spend some time with you, or can I have a chat about what you're doing, or if you're starting a business, talking to someone that's already started a business, or if you're starting a uni degree and you're recovering alcoholic and you go, hey, I need some help with this. People want to help. Very few people will just be like, nah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
At face value, I think everyone wants to help. So it's a really, really important lesson there, is just ask for help.
Yeah.
Let's talk about future. So what does the next couple of years look like from a study perspective, and then what are your ambitions for your career now?
So I've been very confident this year. So I've done really well so far. First semester, second semester, I'm going pretty well. I'm having no issues with it.
Awesome.
I've always been, once I apply myself, I can really learn quickly, and now that I'm comfortable in it, the sky's the limit. I'm really confident. So next year's I'm going all full time. I'm going to be doing extra in between studies.
Awesome.
So I'm going to be doing an extra certificate during the winter period. I'm going to try and catch up from this first year as well, and then so study all the way through, which would be good, because I really enjoyed it, and I actually hated the break between semesters.
Yeah, what am I doing? Yeah.
What uni student would say that?
Oh mate, I remember uni. I was like, 7 weeks off, and now I look back and I'm like, dude, you could have got the degree done twice as fast.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. So I'm going to just do as much as I can and stick with it. And still a long way to go. Still got at least 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
So the goal is to get into clinical psychology. So that's 3 more years of the bachelor.
Yep.
Honours, and 2 years masters minimum.
Yep.
But that's all possible. And
for sure.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Is there an end goal? Is there an end game that you want to be? You want to be clinical practice, or you want to be in research, or?
It's all pretty much open ended at the moment, because I'm loving all of it at the moment. I can't really narrow down where I want to go to.
I asked you before what your favourite subject is. I fucking love it all.
Yeah,
it's the best.
Just even the stuff that you think, they I don't know why they do this in uni, the lectures and stuff. They're going, oh, you're going to hate this. Oh, no, you're all going to bitch about it. Don't talk about it like that.
You just pre-frame something and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And then the other students I'm around, they're all like, oh, yeah, I hate it. Shit. I'm like, I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. Even statistics is one that they don't like in psychology.
I hated statistics.
I love it. I really enjoyed it.
I'm not built for statistics.
Yeah, it just gives you a framework of how you should be looking at things. And I actually really enjoyed it. But yeah, I think, overall, I think, down clinical psychology. So I'd like to, help people clinically. But I'd also like to get into drug and alcohol rehabilitation.
Yeah.
So that's that certificate. I'm doing a certificate for mental health. It's normally a 6-month course, but if you're doing a undergrad, they can condense it down to a 6-week.
Yeah.
And because there's such a demand out there at the moment,
they
put you in placement, and I've heard that once you're in placement, you can get a job really quickly.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
I'd love to get into that, and I've got the experience of going through my own sort of issues with alcohol. I think I can really help other people, because that's something that, unless you've been through it, you've got no idea what it is. It is the hardest thing you could possibly go through. Like, it's gonna sound arrogant, but losing 50 kilos, fucking easy.
Yeah.
Like getting past alcohol.
I mean, it's just relative.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. It was so hard, and unless you've been through it, like you just cannot explain how bad it is. I think Euphoria season 2 at the end, Rue's talking to a sponsor. They're at the diner.
Yeah.
He does this like 2.5 minute monologue of what it's like, and he talks about how like he would steal things, and he'd like rob people or attack people. He'd leave his family, and like he'd do all these horrible things.
Yeah.
Just to continue the addiction, and that was really accurate. Like that like hit a nerve when I watched that. And,
Yeah.
that's one thing that's really hard, is trying to help an addict, because you can't.
Yeah.
You cannot help an addict. You can just be there for them when they're ready to address it and try and make it better. That's when you can be there for them. But it's the hardest thing ever. Hardest thing to go through it, but also to see someone go through it as well. Like I've seen some people go through it, and I've got people around me that are going through it at the moment. And
because you want help, but you know that it's on them.
It's on them. And yeah, it's such a hard thing to do, and I'd like to be there to be able to help other people, because
Brilliant.
there's this sort of camaraderie you can sort of gain with people. I didn't go to as many meetings as I should have, but I did go to a few, and it's that catalyst of the meeting. You build that trust, you open up.
Yeah.
Like the footy club, like Virtus, where you can talk to people, like-minded people that are going through something similar, and you can work on it together. And yeah, I'd love to do that for other people.
Awesome.
Even I cannot wait for placement. I'm
Sky's
not going
the
to get
limit.
paid, but I'd love to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really exciting.
Mate,
really exciting.
love your work. We're ticking almost an hour, so mate, welcome. Thank you so much for sharing, for coming on. I'm stoked we finally got to have this chat. Is there any resources or anything you would like to share that you think would be helpful?
I think in terms of like the mental health and alcohol addiction, is just talk about it.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a close mate, talk to them about it. Pull them aside, like say I'm really struggling, and even especially on the alcohol side of things, maybe just have a think about your own use of alcohol. Like it can creep up on you, and like you won't know until when you cannot stop. Like have a think about your own drinking. Even call out your other mates on drinking. Don't be aggressive about it, but just get them to think about it. Like it's such.
We want it to be a choice. We want it to.
Yeah.
We want to have the space to be able to go. No, I don't want to drink today.
Yeah, it's such a insidious thing that can sort of, and it's crept into culture, and it's coming out of it now. There's so many like non-alcoholic sort of versions coming out now, but it can be a huge sort of detriment, and it's obviously everyone's choice. Everyone can choose to drink if you can.
I think that word's
keep
most
in control
important, though.
of it.
We need it to be a choice.
Yeah, but it's not for me. And I think if you're in the similar sort of mindset of like you can't keep it under control, maybe it's not for you.
Yeah.
And I can tell you it's the best thing I've ever done is not drinking. The amount I've been able to achieve not drinking. And just the other thing as well, being really respectful if someone reaches out to you. Just don't talk over them. Just listen to what they're going to say. Keep them talking. Keep them on the subject, and let them vent as much as they need to. And I think that's the biggest important part as well. And you can't do it on your own.
Love your work.
More people you let in, the better.
You're a star.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
No worries.